There are things in your life that you need to care about, but sometimes there are things that it would actually benefit you more if you just took a I don't really give a damn type of attitude to a certain situation. This is very interesting. It's things that I'm going through in my life as well. I'll be very vulnerable as much as I can be in this episode today, talking about my life and kind of what I'm going through and kind of how this lesson makes sense. That sometimes there is a very, very big benefit to just not caring at all. Like not really caring about certain situations, not letting feelings overwhelm you, and just letting feelings pass you by, move on with things, and just continue moving forward in your life from whatever situation happened. It's very important because sometimes you can kind of become attached to things that you shouldn't be attached to. You can care too much about things that you shouldn't be putting too much effort into. You're wasting energy here that you could be better. It could be better used elsewhere in something that's probably more productive and more fulfilling to you. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today in this episode of the 365 podcast. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've tried my best to make it as good as I possibly can make it. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope that it is a banger. Again, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, not a pretty well job. You can tell that I'm pretty tired. You can tell that I'm very tired, but I'm still going to get through this. I'm still going to give you guys a very good idea, interesting idea. So show your support in any way that you can if you really do enjoy this episode. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I make a podcast episode every single day for 365 days.
You will be hated for speaking the truth.
You definitely have like an x-ray goggles on where you can see someone's aura.
A house divided against itself shall not stand. Matthew chapter 12, verse 25.
If you want to make something of yourself, forget your political beliefs.
Because different believers experience God in different ways, different non-believers need different explanations to see God as real. Things that make you angry suck you in.
Satan's plan fails, right? And God's plan prevails.
So the biggest thing that's been going on in my life is my current job. And obviously I'm not going to give away too much, but I think the gist of it is it's a minimum wage job. It's not anything that pays particularly well, but many different things have happened, and again, I'm not trying to be so overly like exposing everything, but things that kind of ticked me off a little bit, made the experience pretty miserable for me. And well, I think it's partially down to the fact that I'm putting too much care into it. Like I'm trying too hard to do well at something that is not really worth it. Pretty much everyone I talk to is like, yeah, it's a minimum wage job. You just go in, you do the minimum, and you leave. But internally, I always feel like I gotta kind of do better, right? And of course, the guidelines for the job is that you kind of go above and beyond in that way. Again, minimum wage job, so why would you? What's the incentive, right? But even me and myself, like I take kind of a pride in the fact that I get things done and I do it right and I try my hardest. But perhaps in this job, because of the circumstances of it, it's actually coming to bite me in the butt. Me caring too much about it, actually, then when something goes wrong, when I get confronted by my boss, or when there's some sort of an argument, some sort of a disagreement, I take it too personally. But really, I shouldn't care because, again, it's a minimum wage job, so why are you putting so much of your energy into all of these things that are happening? So I'm thinking, you know what? I think about God. I think about what God wants from us. Sometimes you can be a bit of an asshole. If you're that guy that just doesn't give a damn about anything, it can make you come off as that type of a guy that just doesn't care about anyone, that's self-centered, selfish. Like, big example is the current show that I'm watching, House, which is about a doctor. It's a medical show, pretty popular. If you don't know what it is, you search it up. I talked about it yesterday. I've been watching it for a few days, but I revealed on the show that that's what I'm watching. I'm actually learning some pretty interesting things about just humans and interaction, even a little bit about myself, watching a show that is kind of just, meant to be a TV show, because I like to extract lessons from everything in life, which is interesting. But in the show, his persona is exactly the I don't give a damn about anything. I'm going to do what I feel is right, and I don't really care what your opinion is. So there's a lot of sarcasm, a lot of witty remarks, a lot of just playful insulting, let's say, a lot of real insulting and brutal honesty and accountability that Dr. House, the main character, is expressing with the way he speaks and the way he treats people. But it's all from a good place. But still, people think he's an asshole. People are like, yeah, he's hard to work with, but he always gets the job done, so you kind of have to stay there and work with him. So, me kind of looking at that perspective, I'm like, yeah, I need to have a little bit of that in my life, but maybe not too much of that, because really, you really can come out as a bit of a douche when you just don't care about anything, right? And you just don't care about opinions, and you're emotionless in every situation. It can kind of come off that way, even if it's not what you're trying to do. So from like the Christian perspective, from me trying to give it to God, I think you need a level of that, because if you care too much about things, it hurts you, right? And I'm seeing it within myself, within the job, how I'm kind of like whatever is bad about it just becomes exponentially worse, because I'm too hyper focused on it, because I care too much and I can't release myself of the will, really, to care, right? And I think I personally need a level of that. So when I think about these things, that's why I talk about these things on the show, because I think about it and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. You need a little bit of that I don't care type of attitude to get yourself through life, because otherwise, every small situation would make you mad. Every small ego hit, or someone insulting you, or someone keeping you accountable, would break your pride. You'd be distraught. You lash out more often. That would be that would kind of be the negative side effects of caring too much about things you shouldn't be caring about. But on the flip side, not caring then just leads to other people sometimes getting mad at you, thinking that you're the rude one, when really you're just trying to be stoic and take emotion out of every situation. It can come off as rude. It can come off as you being a douche, and obviously that will kind of harm your reputation among people. Like the thing with Dr. House is kind of everyone's like, "Can't you do this but like not be so mean?" And House is kind of like, "No, because that's his personality. Like that's the whole point of his character, is that he has to kind of be in that type of a mindset. But he really just doesn't give a damn about anything. He really doesn't. And I look at that and I kind of admire that trait, because I'm like, if I just didn't give a damn about anything, like I wouldn't be as stressed, right? I just wouldn't be as kind of like just stuck in my mind, right? Contemplating things as much, if I just didn't really care about it. But obviously, I make a show and I talk to the camera every day, so clearly I care enough to vent out my frustrations, and I care enough to have deep reflections. Obviously, I make a show, so I have a lot of ideas. I think a lot, if you didn't know already. But sometimes that actually hurts me, and there's something to say to just adding like a small sprinkle of the not really caring type of attitude, and perhaps that would help me in a way. But you don't want to go too far, because again, it'll come off as very rude, and I don't want to do that. Right? I want to treat others the way I want to be treated. I want to give people as much grace as possible, abide by the Christian values that I give my life to. And sometimes that kind of I don't care type of attitude can bleed into sin and sinful behavior and just treating people badly. And I don't want that to happen. Right? And I can see sometimes in the show, obviously it's just a show, so you can take it with a grain of salt. But I see it in the show how sometimes things kind of go a little bit too far, and House kind of goes a little bit too far on the spectrum of things to say, things to do. And it just it kind of eventually they come to the conclusion, but it still kind of ruins relationships a little bit, bites them in the butt a little bit. And he could easily have done that exact stuff without being so harsh, without being so upfront and just not nonchalant. Nonchalant's not really the word, because he doesn't care, but at the same time he is. It's coming from a perspective of like he's being sarcastic and witty and angry at times, but he tries his best to keep those emotions under wraps. But I think if you take it too far, it can definitely be bad. But I think you need a little bit of that. And also another thing I want to talk about is God's given you the gift of care. The fact that you care so deeply about something is a gift from God. It is the fact that you actually have the energy, and you actually have the capabilities and the power within you, within your spirit. The fire is within your spirit, that you care so much and you want to make something out of your life. That's a beautiful gift. That's a beautiful thing. I don't think you want to suppress that. So even if you say, okay, I need to have a little bit of like a distance emotionally from certain situations, you don't want that to suppress the caring side of you, because that side of you is actually a very beautiful blessing. It's a very beautiful gift. You just have to find the thing that caring about and being obsessed with is actually going to be beneficial for you. I'm still looking for that thing. I'm going to be completely honest. So that's why I'm working a job and then I'm caring too much and putting too much effort into things, and I'm ending up I end up being the guy that gets the short end of the stick most of the time. And that's ended up making me feel worse. It's ended up me hating the job more. Even if I really look at it logically, there's not that much for me to hate. Even if it makes me kind of loathe the situation, it's kind of down to me. And if I had something in my life that I actually enjoyed, that was actually fulfilling, and I put this kind of care and attention to detail into that thing, that would be way more beneficial for my life. So caring deeply about something, you shouldn't want to suppress that. Of course, you want to kind of distance yourself from certain things that you shouldn't care about, because there are many things that are just small, feeble issues that you shouldn't be putting so much energy towards. You shouldn't be getting angry at such small things, for example. The solution is being able to figure out where you need to put your energy into, what you have to care about with your full heart, and what things you can kind of take a step back, distance yourself a little bit from. Have that little bit of a house, Dr. House type of mindset you where you kind of distance yourself from the situation, be stoic, take away the emotion, and just not have a care in the world. You need to figure out which situation merits what emotion, because you don't want to fully suppress your ability to care. You don't want to because that's kind of depressing and misery. That's the flip side. Is that House lives a very miserable and lonely life, but of course he does it because he knows that that's the way he operates, and that's how he can truly save his patients, by being that way. But it also affects him internally. Of course, he has his demons. He has the things that broke him when he was younger, I imagine. Obviously, as I get into the show, we're probably gonna figure out what those things were. But of course, you don't want to be miserable and just live your days lonely, and you don't want to suppress that ability to care, because the I don't care type of attitude can, again, spiral so far out of control that you end up just distancing yourself from people. So you need to know when it is appropriate to care about a situation and when it's appropriate to not care. When it's better for you if you actually put more effort into something, double down on something with the caring heart that you have, the caring spirit that lives within you. And when it is okay to take a step back and say, okay, we don't need to put all of my energy here. Not only are you going to burn yourself out because you're just constantly thinking, and putting so much of your emotion and energy into everything, when not everything requires that amount of energy to overcome. Truly, when you get into an argument with someone, when you get into an angry confrontation with someone, those things will end, those feelings will pass in a matter of days, weeks, and months and years from that point. You won't even think about the situation again. That's the type of thing that you should have the I don't care type of attitude towards, because it doesn't matter what people say, right? People will say things to hurt your feelings. That's life, and it happens. But you're going to forget about it in weeks and months, and you're going to move on with your life, right? So in that moment, you shouldn't let the emotion take control of you. You should be able to just, again, be stoic, not have a care in the world, understand that these things have to come to pass, and on the other side of it will be whatever you're looking for, will be whatever joy to come, right? Again, on the other side of suffering is joy. I've probably said that so many times in these last couple months, let's say. The other side of suffering is joy. Many, many times I said that, because that is the ultimate truth of the world, and probably the biggest truth that exists. So if you're getting into something like that, that's a good place where you don't have to expend so much energy in trying to prove your point and win the argument. No. It's going to happen. Some people are just like that. They're confrontational. You don't want to get sucked into that. That's a good situation to put the I don't care hat on, that attitude on. And when it comes to caring, let's say you got a big opportunity, big job opportunity, where let's just give me my personal example. Let's say I got a job as a coach, as a soccer coach for a big team, let's say, and I'm going to get a good salary. Well, then that's definitely something you should be putting the care lens on. You don't want to not have a care in the world. You want to be very meticulous. You want to be very particular with that, so that you want, as a coach, just as an example, as a coach, you want to make sure your players are doing well. You want to make sure that all aspects of the game are being talked about, and that you have the tactical knowledge, and they understand you, that you're on the same page, that you can do whatever you must to win games of football, right? That's just an example for me, but for whatever it is, if you end up having that big opportunity, you know God's placed that big opportunity at your feet, well, then that's where you have to care. That's where you got to wake up and start giving 100% effort to it, right? And if there's something you're working towards, you should also give 100% effort to it, because sometimes those things aren't going to just land at your feet. You have to work towards it. So that's where you got to care. But in those small instances, in those things that don't really matter in the minimum wage job, it's not really worth it to care as much. And I fall into the trap of just caring too much for so many things. It's a beautiful gift, but I need to learn how to control it so that I'm not so angry at situations, that I don't let my emotions take control of me, that I have a level of emotional self control within myself so that I can have better relationships, get along better with my boss and my coworkers at my job and with my friends and my family and my personal life. That's kind of the goal, and that's what I'm trying to do. Because caring too much ends up biting me in the butt. It's sometimes, especially with this job, and that's the situation I'm going through. But also, again, as I said before, the flip side, like not caring, it also might make you come off as rude, and that is also what you don't want. So you gotta find the balance. As with everything in life, you gotta find the balance. But this was a very interesting idea that I wanted to share with you. That sometimes it really does just make sense. It really does just benefit you more to just not give a damn about a situation. You can distance yourself from it emotionally so that it doesn't affect you, and you can keep doing what you need to do, being on the path that you're on. But you don't want that to be your whole personality. You don't want that to be your whole life, because the extreme of that is just pure misery, loneliness. You push everyone away from you, and it ends up being people just misunderstand you because you're just trying to have a I don't care type of attitude to things, but people kind of make it out to be rude. Sometimes it actually is rude. Other times it's just a miscommunication and a misrepresentation. But that's the consequence of it. So you need to know when to act in that way and when to have full care for a situation, dedication and obsession to a situation, to a thing going on in your life. It's going to take time. But I think with the big things, like with my job, I'm like, okay, I should not be putting this much energy into this. And with my soccer career, I should be putting more energy into this and putting the care to that. That's obvious. The extremities, like the thing that you should be going towards and the thing that you shouldn't be going towards, it's very easy to differentiate those. It's kind of the mushy middle that kind of makes or breaks your happiness, your peace in your life, your fulfillment in your life, because sometimes you can care too much, get emotionally too reactive to things, and that just makes it worse, right? But at the same time, the care and that caring for things is such a beautiful gift, because that's what allows you to move forward. Again, I think the worst stage of depression and anxiety, which harms so many people around my age and Gen Z in this world today, is when they get to the point where you just don't care anymore. Like, they literally don't want to get out of bed. They take their pills and they have no desire anymore. Like, the desire, the dopamine, the passion for life, for even living, just goes away. That's the worst of it. But so many people are going through it, right? So that's the extreme of not caring. That's the extreme of not putting care into things in life and just slowly falling off a cliff. That's the extreme of it, and that's where it can get really bad, and that's where it can end up leading to serious life problems. I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think anyone wants to be there in that position. So you need to find things that you can care about and things that you can put your energy in, and it will be worth it for you. And that is a great motto and a great way to achieve life fulfillment and life peace, by doing exactly that, and by trusting in God, having full faith in God's plan throughout the whole process. So that is it for this episode. In quick summary, that's kind of it. There's a place you got to care. There's a place you don't got to care. And you need to be able to separate those, because I've seen in my own life, and I'm warning you for your life, that it can really break you if you start to care too much about things that don't matter. And you then kind of skew your perspective too much. You need to know when the time is to not care and when the time is to care. If you kind of overlap either way, it will lead to misery, it will lead to problems, it will lead to many more emotional challenges than what you're already dealing with. So control what you can control, which is your attitude to certain situations, and do what you can to make every situation as good as possible and have faith in God through it all. That is the essence of this episode. That is the moral of the story here. There's a place to care, there's a place not to care. You shouldn't put it all into one place. You shouldn't put the other into one place either. And if you find the balance, I think you're doing pretty well for yourself. So that's all I got to say for today. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 podcast. Again, I apologize for some stuttering, for some mess ups, but I am incredibly tired. So I ask that you bear with me. But if you did enjoy it, if it was a good concept, if I got the idea that I wanted to get across well, please let me know by showing your support in any way that you can. By liking the video, by subscribing on YouTube, and following on Spotify if you haven't yet. I would really appreciate the support. But as always, I appreciate you for being here and watching till the end of this episode. That's all I got to say for today. I will end this episode the way I always do by saying to you, go out there and glorify God in all that you do through your life. Figure out what the thing is that you want to care about and the thing is that you shouldn't care about. And I think that will help you do better in your life in general. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.